Hello everybody. Today's lesson is on how to put together a clarinet for the first time. So first thing we're going to do is talk about the safest way to get it out. So we need a stable flat surface like a table or the floor to put our case on, and we want the logo to face the ceiling. You can see my logo right there says Artley, that's the brand name. It's facing up. If we don't have our logo up, we're most likely going to dump our clarinet on the ground, and then your parents will have to pay for repairs on your clarinet. So we want to avoid that. Logo's up. Okay, as we open it up, we're going to talk about the different things that you should have in your clarinet case. You should have some reeds. I recommend getting a box and not just one or two at a time. You'll also need some cork grease. It looks like chapstick, but it is not chapstick and would be gross if you put it on your lips. We also need a clarinet cleaning cloth. You see here I have one, has a weight on the end to help it go through. See, those are usually made of silk and can be bought at music stores. And then we should have our mouthpiece with the metal part, which is called the ligature. We also need the barrel and the bell. And our lower body section, you can tell which is which because the lower body will have big keys at the bottom by themselves and also a little lever coming out, which is where you rest your thumb. And we also need the top part of the body. This one you can tell it's the top because on the back it has this ring key and this register key on the back. So usually the back's the easiest way to tell for beginners which part of their instrument is which. Before we even put our instrument together, we want to make it a little easier for ourselves. So what we're going to do is take our cork grease and make sure that all of our corks are sufficiently greased so that when we put the instrument together, it will be easier and not harder. So what I did, you saw there, is I rubbed some grease along the cork, and now I'm just going to take my fingers and gently rub that all around. So that cork is nice and lubricated. We want to do this to every cork on the instrument because we don't want to put too much force on the instrument while we're putting it together. So now I have the barrel. We do that same thing, put some of that cork grease on it and move it around. Okay, now the mouthpiece is lubricated. Another great way to tell that this is the top part of the body is that it has a cork on the bottom and a cork on the top. So more corks going. Cork grease is going on that cork. I'll get them both and then rub that in. And this is, again, going to make sure that our instrument is not as hard to put together. When you get a clarinet, you may actually need to do this a few times before it starts getting easy to slide on and off. Okay, I have now greased all of the corks and I'm going to go wash my hands and I will be back. Okay, I'm back. Now that our instrument has been lubricated, we can put it together. Some people like to start from the bottom up. Some people like to start from the top down. Really doesn't matter. We're going to go from the bottom up today. So I'm going to take the bell in one hand and the bottom part of the body in the other hand. Remember, we can tell the body is the body because of the large keys at the bottom, as well as this little lever in the back. So when I put those together, I'm going to hold along that rod there with the fleshy part of my hand while my fingers wrap around. That's going to be the best position so we don't mash our keys. Then we're going to gently push the bell onto the body of the instrument. So right now, this is what we have, the bell and the body. Now, let's put the next part of the instrument on. Before I do that, I'm going to move this off so I have more space to show you what's going on. Okay, now our piece of the body with 2 corks, 1, 2, and with the thumb keys on the back, that's our upper body. And when we put it onto the lower body, we need to make sure to do one thing every single time, or you can damage your instrument. This is very important. Important part of clarinet assembly. See this second ring key, 1, 2, second ring key? We must push that down every time we're putting the instrument together. So I'm pressing down that key, and you may be able to see this little piece of metal moving up. That's what we want. That's why we're pushing down this key, so that piece of metal moves out of the way, so that when we put these two together, this metal piece does not bend. So don't forget that, very important. Okay, so now I've got the body in my hand with the bell. In my other hand, I have the upper body, and I press that key. Now we're going to gently twist those together. And if your instrument's sufficiently lubricated, it will be gentle. If it hasn't been lubricated enough, then you may need to grease it again so that you're not having to use a lot of pressure to put these parts of the instrument together. Okay, once you have put the upper body and the lower body together, you can take your finger off that key. You no longer need to press it down. Okay, there are 2 more parts of the instrument now that we need to put on. Our barrel here and our mouthpiece here. So putting those on together, and then putting this on the back. When we have this positioned correctly, you'll be able to see the opening. Take the ligature off for a second. The opening right here is in line with our thumb keys down here. That's what we want. And our ligature we put on the top like this. Our screws should always be pointing off to the right-hand side. You know, if you have a ligature that should be placed on top, if the screws are going off to the right side. This one goes off to the left, so we know that it's meant to be a lower ligature. Okay, so now that we have the clarinet here, let's name the parts. Ligature, mouthpiece, barrel, upper body, lower body, bell. Okay, let's do that again. Mouthpiece, ligature, barrel, upper body, lower body, and bell at the bottom. Okay, that is how we assemble the instrument. You may have noticed that I didn't talk about how to put reeds on, because there will be a specific video just on that. It's a little complicated to get right, and there are a lot of mistakes that can be made, so I wanted to give you a good video to show you that. Now what we're going to do is put our instrument away. So this is a skill you'll want to be comfortable with, clarinets, and you'll want to do this several times so that when you're putting it away, you remember all of the key themes. So before I start, I want you to see if you can remember the most important part of putting the instrument away. Hopefully, you remembered that there's a key we need to press down. So when we get there, I'll remind you to do it. First, we'll start by taking off the bell. and putting it in the slot in our case that looks like the bell slot. And I take my ligature off so it's easier to access my barrel and my mouthpiece. I'm going to put those back in their cases now. Now we just have the upper body and the lower body. So if we're looking at this, see if you can remember which key I told you to press down. We're to that spot, the most important spot. If you said the second key, you're right. The second ring key from the top is the one we need to press down because it raises this little metal piece out of the way so that when we twist it, that part won't bend. Okay, so now we're holding on there to that key, and the other hand is holding on over the bar so we don't mush any keys, and we gently twist and pull apart. Okay, you will see a divot in your case where the thumb rest goes on the lower body, and you'll see a little wider spot for all of the pinky keys on the upper body. Let me know if you have any questions about how to put together your clarinet or what parts you should have for your clarinet to make it work. And I will see you all next time. Bye.